Messieurs, bonsoir et merci d'être parmi nous ce soir. Vous êtes en direct, des millions de téléspectateurs vous suivent à présent dans le Mjadala Africa Debate. Vous avez, comme présenté auparavant, 5 minutes chacun pour que vous vous présentiez. Alors on va commencer tout de suite avec vous, Excellence, Monsieur Mahamoud Ali Youssouf de Djibouti.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, honorable Raila Odinga, honorable Richard James, Madame la vice-présidente de la Commission de l'Union africaine, Mesdames et Messieurs, citoyennes et citoyens de l'Afrique, bonsoir. Je m'appelle Mahmoud Ali Youssouf. J'ai 59 ans, marié, père de 8 enfants, ministre des Affaires étrangères de mon pays depuis 20 ans. Je me tiens devant vous ce soir pour vous exposer succinctement ma vision et les ambitions que je porte pour notre continent. L'Afrique se trouve à une étape cruciale de son évolution. Certes, en retard par rapport aux autres continents en matière d'intégration, de paix et de sécurité et de développement socio-économique. Mais l'Afrique avance, l'Afrique s'organise et l'Afrique se positionne sur la scène internationale. L'Afrique que nous voulons intégrer, pacifique et prospère.
First, the choice of our people before the choice of its leaders. The founding fathers of the OAU in 1963 and to our leaders today who actually established the African Union more than 20 years, all the way down to the average citizen, we are trying to consolidate our diversity and to cement the unity of the continent. As we adopted Agenda 2063 and also the five plans, the African Union actually has a roadmap to achieve its goals. And the African Union is supposed to coordinate and also to implement the decisions of the policy organs. And if I am elected as chairperson of the commission, I am going to make sure that we work together and we actually have to go beyond the 37% of the work that we have done so far. In terms of peace and security and early warnings, through the Continental Early Warning System, we are going to strengthen the Peace and Security Council, which has to be more proactive, and the member states will also have to be responsible. The Panel of the Wilds would be given the means to work to continue its mediation work. And I will do my level best to make sure that resources are mobilized to make the African Standby Force operational. And we can also use the African Peace Fund. And with the relevant bodies, I am going to continue or to carry out the reforms which have not been implemented today. And I'm going to diversify our financing. And I will do my best to make sure that African Union has its own financing sources. And I'm also going to boost intra-African trade. We should go beyond 80%. And I will bring down all the non-tariff barriers and facilitate the free movement of goods and persons across the continent. The place of Africa on the international stage will be one of my...
Je serai la voix écoutée de l'Afrique à travers le monde. La transformation de notre continent nos femmes et notre diaspora par les moyens du savoir, des techniques et des technologies en agriculture, en industrie et dans les services. L'Afrique que nous voulons, mesdames et messieurs, est l'Afrique de la paix, de l'intégration et de la prospérité passe d'abord.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an Africa of peace, integration, and prosperity. And this has to go through the political will and the solidarity of the African people, and thanks to the support of our people. And so as I stand in front of you today and in front of all the millions of Africa, I want to tell you that if I'm given the chance of being the chairperson of this commission, I will do my best to make sure that our continent shines on the international stage. I thank you.
Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite His Excellency Raila Odinga to share his opening remarks. Your Excellency, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Your Excellency Ambassador Konjit, my co-panelist here, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and His Excellency Mr. Richard, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Africa. Africa, hamjambo, bonsoir. Salam alaikum, rahmatullah ta'ala wa barakatuh. Boa noite. I am delighted to have opportunity today to stand before you as the son of Africa. I was born in Kenya, but I'm told that my grandparents, a grandfather of 5, and a husband of 1 that I know of. I am an engineer by profession, and I have been an academic. I have also been a public servant. I've been a member of parliament. I've also been a prime minister and also leader of opposition. In those capacities, I've tried to do my best, and I've gained a lot of experience in terms of management of public affairs. I stand here as an Pan-Africanist and an Afro-optimist. 2 months ago, that is on the 21st of October, this year we were here in Addis Ababa. We had been invited as members of the families of the founding fathers of the African Union to come and witness the reopening of the Africa Hall. That's the hall where the OAU was launched in 1963. And we're happy to be here with Madam Ambassador Konjit, who was there as a young girl at that time. It is now 61 years since the launch of the Organization of African Unity. And at that time, if you read the speeches of the founding fathers on that day, they were very passionate, and all of them talked about African unity. Where there was a difference was, when do we achieve this unity? There are those who, under the school of thought, that the unity now. And those who said, no, we need to be gradual in this. Let us first build the building blocks, the regional unions, which will eventually translate into formation of the African Union as a whole. But now we have come up, they came up 50 years later with Vision 2063, which now hopes to get Africa united, one union government by 2030, and move on to attain the vision, the wishes of the founding fathers of Africa. I say that I have the experience. I've been part of this movement for changing the continent. We know that some achievements have been made. Africa is now completely liberated, but there's still work to do. And I believe that I have what it takes to get us where we want to do. In the field of education, in the field of health, in the field of value addition to the abundant wealth that we have on the continent, in the field of trade, inter-African trade. I have worked acted as the African Union High Representative on Infrastructure. And in this, I know that we have very comprehensive programs in PIDA, Program for Infrastructure Development of the continent. What remains is action. And what I want to promise the African people is that I am going to lead from the front to ensure that we achieve the visions of the founding fathers of our continent. I thank you.
Merci infiniment au candidat du Kenya, Excellence Monsieur Raila Amolo Odinga. Et maintenant, Mesdames et Messieurs,
Raila Amolo Odinga. Now we're going to listen to His Excellency Randra Mandato from Madagascar.
Excellence,
Excellencies, distinguished guests, to this very important event for the African people. As you can see, we are 3 candidates, not 2 candidates, like you see on social media. And we are standing in front of you today to convince you of how serious we are and how seriously we're going to work towards the African Union involvement. So who am I? I am one out of 1.2 billion Africans. Just like you, I started from very humble beginnings, from the very beginning. I was a young consultant. I was a researcher in microfinance sector, and I traveled across many African capitals, about 41 countries in the year 1989. Just like you, it was difficult for me to find a job, but I did find a job which was at the level of my capacity. And just like you, I actually built my career based on my conviction that each African citizen can actually survive. And just like you, today I am standing before you because I believe that I have the confidence and the trust of the president of Madagascar, and I am proud. I am proud that I was actually supported by my country. Just like you, I've actually come a long way, and I have actually gotten to this level where I have the trust of my government. I was Minister of the Economy in my country because that is my specialty. I was also Minister of Foreign Affairs, and I'm here today standing before you to talk about Africa. Africa is actually the second dynamic economic region in the world, and is actually making progress, and things are changing in our favor. And recently I read about the funding of the African Development Bank, funding several projects in Africa, and this is quite promising for the continent. The World Bank also has increased its envelope, funding 75 countries, 75 less developed countries. And I also think that we have funding for small states. Small states, that's not a pejorative term, but
l'Afrique qui bouge, c'est d'abord les États qui réalisent ces performances. Une croissance économique qui va de 3,5 à 4% par an en 2025, c'est déjà suffisant, mais il faut faire plus. Et puis, il y a la maison commune, notre maison commune. Nous y sommes, c'est l'Union africaine. Ce que je constate, c'est qu'il y a une Afrique qui progresse, qui se développe, qui est dynamique, et une Union africaine où on doute de sa capacité à suivre ce progrès. Je me présente parce que je pense qu'il est indispensable que ceux qui pensent avoir la qualité, les compétences, l'expérience et la conviction, eh bien, aujourd'hui, je pense les détenir et j'espère que vous serez convaincus de notre candidature. Et je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Richard Randiamandrato.